Welcome to episode 76, a breaking news episode of the Inside Job Boards and Recruitment Marketplaces podcast. I am one of your co-hosts, Stephen Rothberg of College Recruiter. We're a job search site used by students, recent grads, and other early career candidates. And I am joined here today by two of my favorite people, Peter Zollman and Jeff Dickey-Chasins, for this breaking news episode. Peter, you want to say hello?
Hello. I'm with the AIM Group. We do consulting and we do content and we do conferences for job boards around the world. And before I was on this podcast as Stephen Rothberg's co-host, it was the Jeff Dickey-Chasins and Some Other Guy podcast. And the Some Other Guy is Stephen, and Jeff was, until today and still is and always will be, the job board doctor. But the big news is he has sold his consultancy to Julie and Chad Sowash. Everybody knows Chad from Chad and Cheese, or most people know Chad from Chad and Cheese, but Julie's really the smart one in the box, especially compared to Chad, who didn't respond in time to get on this podcast. Chad from Chad and Cheese, and Julie runs a job board and has been consulting in the job board world for 12 years, mainly on diversity and disability and compliance and those kinds of things. So the job board doctor has taken off his lab coat.
Yeah, and Julie's also the executive director of Disability Solutions, and so she's got years and years in the employment space, matching employers with candidates. So Jeff, how did this all happen? Was it been a long time? Did it come together quickly?
It came together pretty quickly. I was chatting with Chad about the fact that I was moving to Connecticut. And he said, "Oh, does this mean that you're hanging up the chaps?" And I said, "Well, I'm considering it. It's maybe at the end of the year." And it was literally a week later when they called me up and said, "We want to buy Job Board Doctor." And I'm like, "Really? Okay. Well, that's interesting." And we talked about sort of what would be involved and the timing and everything. And then it came together pretty quickly. I'm really glad that they're doing it, because I felt some regret knowing that when I shut things down, that was going to be the end of it. But that's typical for most consultancies. It's the lucky consultancy that can sell itself and perpetuate what they do and their name and everything. And Chad and Julie are excited about that. It's they run a consulting business themselves, Catch 22, and they really, I think, envision this as enhancing what they do. They think Job Board Doctor is a good brand,
Yeah.
and I think they have a lot of exciting things that they want to add to the mix that I was either not interested or incapable of doing. So I think it's going to be a good thing for the industry, and a good thing for my past clients. So.
Well, that sounds excellent. And what's next for JDC, the job board the retired or soon to be retired job board doctor?
Well, the use of the word retired is probably a little bit overstating it. One of the things that Chad and Julie wanted to know is if I would be willing to continue to be involved on certain projects, as things came up that they thought, that I would be good for, possibly even, going to conferences with them sometimes. So I said, yeah, as long as it's not like every Monday Jeff has to trek in and do some work, as long as it's random, I'm totally good with that. So I'll still be around.
Well, here's your invitation for you, Chad, and Julie to join us in Vienna for RecBuzz in April. Freebie. You
That
know,
would be fun.
we're comping you. It might be crazy because Chad especially is out there, but not as out there as his co-host on the podcast, the other podcast,
The other
Chad
show.
and Cheese.
Yeah, no, that's exciting. I would love to do it. I actually lived in Vienna for about 6 months when I was in college, and I've never been. Well, I've never been back since then, and I'd love to see how much everything's changed. But
7 or 8 years ago, eh?
But you were asking what I was going to do in my theoretical retirement, and I'm moving to this college town called Middletown, where Wesleyan University is, and I'm looking forward to getting involved in some community activities. I'm a big library person, and it just so happens that they're getting ready to try to build a new library in Middletown. And so I thought that could keep me busy. And you may or may not know, I make furniture as sort of, for fun, and I'm looking forward to that. And I'm also looking forward to basically having some time to see my daughter who's out on the East Coast as well. So
cool. So one of the things that I think is really interesting about this isn't so much who's acquiring the Job Board Doctor, but who Chad partners with in his other business and in the Chad and Cheese, because Joel has spoken very negatively about job boards, how much he hates the business. He, I think, like late last fall, he had like the four horsemen of the job board industry or whatever. I know you were a guest on the Chad and Cheese podcast in I don't know, January, February, something like that, refuting each and every point. I think Chad came around and agreed with you, and I was also kind of speaking at refuting some of those points. Has Joel come around, or is Chad going to need to try to convince them, or are they going to have some good spirited conversations on their podcast about the wisdom of the Sowashes getting into the job board world even more?
I think basically on that topic, it's kind of like if you and I, Stephen, were to talk about the joys of winter, and you would sort of go on and on about how wonderful it was, because then you could watch your hockey team lose over and over again. And I would say, well, winter is something that's only good because then summer is coming. And I think that's kind of the way Joel and Chad are. They're never going to agree on this, and that's okay. And we all know that Joel is wrong.
Right.
So that's the most important thing. As long as we can sort of communicate that across the industry, that in fact, even though Joel's a great guy, he's wrong. That's the way it is. So.
Well, and it's good that they have a diversity of opinion, right? That they can come at the same issue, sometimes agree, sometimes disagree.
Have they ever agreed about anything?
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. But the I know you're joking, but it'll be this week's episode of the Chad and Cheese podcast, and Friday's episode will be really interesting, because I'm sure they're going to talk about this acquisition, and what role Chad is going to play, what role Julie is going to play. Now, when I would think Julie's job as executive director of disability solutions is a full-time gig, and Chad certainly is with the podcast and the speaking and the consulting and all of that. Is this going to be like a part-time, or are one of them leaving their businesses? Any idea like where they're going to find a time to do this work?
Julie's going to be the primary person in the business in terms of. In fact, I've already been doing some work with her in terms of talking to existing clients and advertisers and whatnot. And so I think she's going to continue to sort of do the leading role on this. And like you said, she has plenty of job board experience, and I think Chad is available. And then I do think they're going to build up a network of some additional consultants to sort of work in areas that I never did, with like SEO and programmatic and a few other areas like that. So
cool. It does fit in very nicely with the existing consulting work that the Catch-22. I mean, it's not like this is
right.
It's not like they're going from 0 to 60. It's sort of adding on to something that they already have. Peter, any last question or anything?
So yeah, we got time for one more quick question, and it's really a multi-part question. Specifics: how many clients you got? How many clients you expect to stay on? How much did they pay you?
This is one client.
Okay, very good. And we're not clients of the Job Board Doctor, but boy, do we talk to him regularly and quote him frequently in group marketplaces report and our recruitment intelligence. But so, how many clients you expect? Most, all to stick with it. It's good that they got the brains of the organization running the organization. Sorry, Chad, but I couldn't resist. We're not as profane as they are, but we can be cheeky. What'd they pay you?
Well, I'm not going to tell you that, Peter, but
I knew that.
I know you had to ask that, but no, it was a very fair price. Let's put it that way. And, it was easy to agree on that. So I was quite happy with that. I mean, I think in terms of number of clients, when I add them up over the years, and I do this over the years because I have so many clients that have come back. I've got some clients that I've been working with since 2009 when I started, and some clients work with me, and then 3 or 4 years later they call me up and work with me again. So, I think the cumulative number of clients over the years is somewhere around 700-800. So
that's and when we do consulting, we always say the best thing is when they call you back and say, "Can you do more work for us?" Because that's such great validation. We've essentially used up the time. We know your movers are showing up any minute now to pack you up and move you halfway across the country from Iowa to Connecticut. I hope you have a wonderful drive. And since I'm in the New York Metro a lot, I will come up and catch up with you sometime soon, buddy.
That sounds good. There's a lot of great restaurants in Middletown, so we can eat something interesting.
Sounds good to me. You be well, take care, stay healthy, and thank you for joining us. Tell Chad and Julie they missed a great opportunity for us to razz them instead.
I'm sure there will always be more opportunities. So, but thank you guys for having me on.
Yeah. And Jeff, thank you so much for all the contributions that you've made to the industry and the ones that are still to come. Hey,
you get to hear your obituary while you're still alive. Ain't that a fun thing?
We didn't get into all the scandals. We'll save that for another one.
Yeah. That can be the scandal edition, in a few years. So
awesome.
Sounds good. Be well.
Cheers,
Bye.
guys.
See you guys later. Bye.